5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is Views in Paradox.
Cinema, film, discussion, thought-provoking, trivia,
Drama,
romance, mystery,
action,
topical,
costume,
overrated, informative,
trivia,
animation, captivating,
amazing,
thought-provoking,
eye-opening,
discussions,
animating,
theme,
captivating,
film,
inspiring,
insightful,
underrated,
informative, tangents,
complex,
action,
heart-wrenching,
amazing, horror, comedy, views.
in Paradox.
Welcome, any and all, to Views in Paradox, episode 16. This week we'll be talking about Train to Busan with our guest, Henry Godwin. Welcome to the show.
All right, thanks for having me.
I am your host, Jon Olson, and I am joined, as always, by Rochalle Racine. Welcome, Rochalle.
Hello.
So, generally, the way we do the show, or the way we're trying to do the show, is a little housekeeping up top. Then we'll talk about the film a little bit spoiler-free, and then we'll go full spoilers for the rest of the episode. So if you haven't seen Train to Busan, you can stick around a little bit, and then we will announce when we're just going to get into the full spoileriness. For housekeeping this week, this episode didn't air, right?
Yeah.
Should we just talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about it because I got a lot to say. Susan, the fuck. We got.
What's her last name? If you're going to keep
I
Susaning her. do you
forget.
know?
It's Susan. It's like something kind
I'll
of
look it up
German
right now.
sounding. Yeah. We got a copyright strike and we can't figure out why. And they don't tell you why.
It's
they
a bot.
just like.
A bot.
Yeah, well, it's a bot, but like they just kind of
Oh,
strike
she's got
you.
a tough last name.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't know it. Otherwise, I know it.
Wojcicki.
Wachowski? Wachowski?
Wojcicki. Wojcicki.
Wachowski. It's kind of like a joke around the YouTube community. No one knows how to say her last name.
I would need to
anyway,
hear it. Yeah, it's hard without a reference.
We got a copyright strike, so we cannot live stream. To be honest, we don't even know if we can upload videos right now.
I think we can upload videos. It said
I
live
hope
streaming
so.
privileges have been removed.
So
We're gonna find
by
out.
If you're watching this in the next couple days during the week of what's the week?
Yeah.
August 15th. That means that we can upload videos. So yeah.
If you're a
That's
podcast listener, it's not much of a deal
Yeah.
because you don't listen live anyway.
Which brings us to our next thing. We are now on YouTube. We're on YouTube right now. We're now on iTunes and Spotify. So if you are much more of an audio preference type listener, you can find us on either of those platforms.
Yeah, take
And
us
please
with
leave
you.
us a review.
Have lunch with us.
Yeah.
Take a nap. To some movie discussion. Just watch the movie first so that you can then appreciate it. I think that's kind of our big thing is that we're recording this for a second time. Actually, the recording also malfunctioned, so our backup went down, and we didn't have a live stream.
Our zombie movies are cursed.
Yeah. So it's been weird with the zombie movies, but we're gonna try again, and maybe we'll even do a retroactive Little Monsters. We'll see if we can get back the first video.
Yeah. If we don't get it back, Deanna's been really cool. We're gonna do a retroactive one because this film and that film, spoiler alert in a sense, they both deserve to have an episode up because they're great movies.
Yeah. So our two zombie movies. The way we do it is basically we try to have our guests submit us some options, and then Rochalle and I choose from among those options. So you chose Train to Busan, and why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of why you picked this movie? Had you seen it before? Like, what was the reason you gave this one?
So, I am kind of big into zombie movies. I don't know what it is about like seeing the different zombies, just like how they've evolved over the years, like over the different movies, in different platforms, video games, TV shows. Everybody always has a different take on the whole zombie apocalypse. And when Train to Busan came out, I'd heard a lot of talk about it, how good it was, how much people enjoyed it. and how it was just, I guess, something different from what we'd already seen over here in the States. And yeah, I had a chance to watch it and see like their take on the zombie outbreak. And not just their take, but what the zombie outbreak would look like in a different country. Um, because I know we've seen a lot of zombie movies here in America, and what our take is typically,
Yeah, in the
we've seen,
UK also a fair amount.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we've seen like everybody's take on, what their idea of a walking dead person is. But to see, this particular version of how these zombies are no longer the slow moving zombies. They're not the zombies that, are so focused on eating brains. Uh, these are vicious creatures. And I just thought that was so outstanding. And the fact that it's all happening in such a small set, they're on a train. Like, that's terrifying to even think,
Yeah.
the script writers would even put people in that situation.
Come.
So let's. I think we should do a little rundown of the movie, just in terms of its credits, what it's about, a little bit, because we usually like to do that. So for this movie, sorry, I'm pulling it up. Cut that
Real
out of the
quick,
audio.
Henry, could you just tell us what you do in the film industry? I know you're an audio guy.
Yeah, so I typically will boom on set. I've worked as a audio mixer. I've done utility work. Pretty much anything audio on set, I've done it. Yeah.
Awesome. And what did you think about like the audio effects of the zombies while he's pulling all that up?
Here, I have it ready.
Oh, okay.
If you want
Yeah, they were. I mean, they felt like the typical. If I remember correctly, it was just zombie hisses and like growls and
a lot of
like
gurgling.
like gurgling. Yeah, very wet sounds. Which I guess fresh dead people sound wet.
Goopy,
Yeah,
a little bit.
I guess we'll really never know unless this really happens.
yeah. I can't say I have firsthand knowledge, but I think we can go with what they came
Yeah.
up with.
Yeah, I feel like the dexterity of the vocal cords go away pretty quick also. And it's like, so this is a zombie movie, Train to Busan, directed by Sang Ho Yeon. And this came out in, sorry, where was it? This came out in 2016 in South Korea. And it came, I think, like less than a year later to Netflix and was pretty popular there. This is basically about a guy bringing his daughter on her birthday to see her mother. And en route from one city to another, a zombie apocalypse outbreak happens. And so they have to attempt to escape on the train from the zombie apocalypse. So that's basically the gist of it, right? So we have like a number of characters we get to know kind of early, some groups, and then we just sort of like follow them and we try to see who's going to get it out. It's like the classic zombie whodunit, except it's just a who survive it kind of movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we just get into spoilers?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I just kind of want to get right into it. So let's talk acting and characters, because that's where we started last time, and I really liked a lot of our stuff on that. So, what are Rochelle, like? Who are your favorite cast members?
Well, I loved the little girl. The emotional abilities of this 10-year-old just like floored me, especially as an actress myself who's like really training to get there. I was like, 10-year-old, how did you do this?
Not fair.
Like, beautiful. That director, I think last time someone said this, must have told her some stuff to get that out of her, especially at the end when her father contracts it and he's trying to leave the building, so to speak, before he switches over. and her reaction to that, and her, wow, that just got me right in the heart. And then also, I loved the sisters, like, not just in the acting, but just like their just overall presence as characters in the film. They just really like they're very indelible. They wove their way into my heart, and I loved that they ended up being very necessary to the plot at the end. And
they brought something different to the cast. It's, you know, there's kind of your typical, there's like father, daughter, you've got another family unit, husband and wife expecting a child, you've got sort of boyfriend, girlfriend, and then you've got like these two older sisters. And like, are they boyfriend, girlfriend? He's like on the high school baseball team, and clearly they're a thing.
It's like that crush, that puppy love.
Yeah, early, maybe not official girlfriend, but would be sooner or later.
Right. As far as the sisters, one thing I loved about them was like they just had like very sisterly moments in the middle of this like frightening ass situation. Like when they were being moved from one end of the train to the other as everything progressed, and the daughter offered a seat to one of them while the other one was sitting so they could both have a seat, and they looked at each other and they were like, we both got a seat. Like that cracked me up.
Adorable.
Yeah,
it's adorable. And I just love that they sprinkled in these little moments with them to kind of like relax us and get us ready for the next terrifying thing that was gonna happen.
And I absolutely loved how the one sister just kind of, God, that moment on the train where like the zombies are right outside the door, and just like this moment of karma, she just opens up on these people for just being such asshats. Like I can understand why people would panic in a moment like that, but
well, you know, zombie movies love but man's the real monster, right?
That was a perfect.
There was a lot of that in this movie. It's like there's zombies, but who's the real monster? It's man.
That fucking guy. What was his name?
The train conductor guy.
No, not the train conductor guy.
Not the conductor, but the
business antagonist guy was.
Yeah, he worked for the train company.
Yeah, I think he was like an engineer or something.
Yeah, well, he was a conductor, and then the driver would be the engineer, technically, right?
I meant like.
Yeah, I think he's just a conductor.
I meant building the stuff. Because the conductor's the one that drives.
No, I think that the conductor is the person who goes down the aisles and collects tickets and sees to people's needs. No. They conduct.
I think that's the usher.
That's the usher, yeah.
Okay, is that the name? Okay, my bad.
I thought you meant the guy that just.
I should know. I ride the train enough. I should know the difference, but I don't.
Yeah, like I drive all the time. Why do I know that and you don't? What also, just to keep talking about the sisters in that moment, right before she decides to take karma into her own hands, so to speak, and kind of like be reunited with her sister, her monologue was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I almost fully like cried. Yeah.
No, I was just saying like her up against the glass. Yeah.
And like you could just see the progression of her being like, all right, it's time for me to like fuck these fools up because they're terrible people. So
she didn't let them know very well either that it was her sister. Like there were two people in the car that had like family on the other side of the glass. You would think that more people would be like, we have to let, like, I don't know. I guess it is scary. Just the idea that like, well, yeah, they could be zombies.
I don't think they would have. I don't know.
And, you know, to feed off of, like, her monologue that she gave, like, I felt so bad and I understood so well. Like, she seemed very upset that her sister was so nice to these people and she got screwed over.
She put him first, yeah.
And to just be so upset that, you know, now her sister is gone. Like, that was one of those moments I could kind of understand and empathize with her anger. It's like this is one of those situations where you kind of have to look out for yourself because you see everybody else doesn't care.
Yeah, she winds up taking out like kind of all the people that we, the audience, is supposed to hate already. With an exception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like part of me felt bad that some of those people were really just scared and
Yeah, a lot of them
like,
are just like, they're going with the crowd. They're just being
yeah,
sheeple.
which I mean that in itself is dangerous, and
That's true.
you kind of got to watch out for that. But yeah, like
Yeah, they
half
went
of
out
me
hard.
felt bad, but half of me was like, hell yeah, kill all those
Yeah.
people.
Oh, I didn't feel bad. I was like, you go, girl.
Well, and they, like I was thinking about that scene again, the monologue at the class, and like they did a really clever thing also with this the sister who's been bitten and zombified is really calm compared to
Yes.
everyone else. She's like, even though she's zombie, she's the calmest zombie. Like it allows for them to have that moment,
Yeah.
as opposed to her just being like crazy. Because they could have just had her be like writhing against the door.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it would have been an equally valid choice, but I think this was an interesting way to do it.
It was. I thought it was a great choice that they kept her calm.
Yeah, and you see it in other zombie movies and TV shows where the character recognizes the one zombie, like the little girl that they lost or the mom. I think it was what Shaun of the Dead, where like they had that really heartbreaking moment where the mom turned into a zombie, and it's just
Yeah. Or it's the
God.
dad. It's the dad, right? I mean, a bunch of
Yeah.
people go out hard in Shaun of the Dead, but the one that really got me in that one was when the stepdad goes out. It's like
Oh,
because they really it's they. Anyway, that's another
Yeah, but
that's
those
another
moments,
film. We're here to
they're
train to
so
Busan.
powerful though, to just know that they're looking at somebody they love with all their heart and just lost them to something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other scene that kind of is in line with that is when they go into the one car and it's filled with the young kids baseball team.
Oh.
Because that scene is just it's rough on on a similar level where they have to get through, so they basically have to be violent to these zombies, and it's like these are all my friends, that scene is
It is.
is rough. It's something
That
that
was
the zombie movie kind of uniquely offers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt for him in that situation, and I found myself asking, like, would I be able to, like, mess up some former friends? Like, would that logic that I'm feeling right now still be there if I were in this situation, Like,
Yeah.
Because
I don't
part
know.
of you would be thinking like, if we don't damage them too bad, maybe they'll cure it or something. Like, but like, can you imagine if they cured it and you'd bashed your friend's skull in, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
well, I could have been more careful.
Yeah. That
Like
would've
all
made it
these, I
even
feel like
worse.
just you would have like those kinds of things going through your mind. You would have the sheer shock of that could be me. Those are my friends. Like all that stuff. I feel like that moment where he's just paralyzed is absolutely the most understandable thing.
Yeah, because the outbreak, this is what, the first day that the outbreak happens, or it
It's day
happened
one.
not that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, none of them know the outbreak is happening when they step onto the train. It's that new, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so trying to figure out, like, should I kill my friends or should I see if
Just a
there's
few
gonna be a
hours in.
cure?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it gives you some kind of rough choices there,
It does. It does.
Yeah.
and they seem so promising to survive because they're like they've all got baseball bats, and they stay a unit for a while. They're one of the first like groups that we know to get like decimated. Right? It's the baseball team.
John, you have really bad feedback going on.
Bad feedback.
Yeah.
It's probably because of the headphone issue that I'm having. Are you getting it as well, Henry?
I'm not hearing it on my end.
Because I'm not hearing any kind of. I just don't know if this is gonna work. Hold on. How far on are we? I wonder. 25 minutes in. Okay.
people around once or twice. Walking through the train, he seemed like he was able to handle himself really well against the zombies. So he seemed like pretty much a go-to for the strong person. But then his wife
I
just
can't
kind
hear
of sized him up and
I can't hear a
recognized
thing you're
that,
saying when
yeah,
they have the
he's a
headphones
tough
on.
guy, but I can still, you know, punch him and slap him, and he'll still show me respect and knows who his wife is. And I love that she actually recognized that and just grabbed that and took hold of that. And I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, they both showed a lot of strength. One thing I really loved about his character was that I expected him to be just like this like dumb brute, and he had such a heart of gold. It was amazing. And I love how he just always put the main character, the father, I'm going to butcher the character's name, everyone. Suk Woo. Sorry, I don't speak Korean. He would just put him in his place every single time.
Yes.
I loved it. I loved it. No fear. It was beautiful.
Yeah, because from the beginning of the movie, I thought that the dad was going to be, this superhero type guy that shows this strength and he's going to protect his daughter no matter what. And, he's going to be just kicking zombies in the face and, jumping off of platforms and doing, barrel rolls on the top of the train. But that was not him. It was
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
definitely-
not Liam Neeson. Right?
Yeah, he surprised me in that he wasn't the strong guy that I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
guy who has to like learn a lesson about caring about other people, right?
Yeah.
Like he learns it very slowly throughout the film, where like even though he's putting his daughter first, like she still is like, we should be helping everyone,
Yeah.
and it takes him like forever to like start to be the person that you could plausibly believe would like change and grow,
Yeah.
and like
When-
ultimately is willing to make sacrifices for
Yeah.
the ones he loves, right?
Yeah.
Which is what human beings should be like. I really like, obviously the moment of major change for him was when the daughter said, "This is why mom left you. You only care about yourself." And up until that moment, he was like my most disliked character in the film.
Yeah.
And then once she said that, I was like, all right, we're going to see his character arc, and I very much welcome that. But that brings me to wanting to talk about that asshole that got so many people killed because the only person he cared about was himself.
Yeah, he's our human antagonist, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the zombies very much are the antagonist, but like he's our human.
Yeah.
There's always got to be conscious evil.
Mhm.
And as much as he sucked, like I have to say that a lot of the decisions that he made were logically correct.
They seemed
although very
reasonable,
heartless.
right?
Right.
They were just cold-blooded.
Yeah, they were very cold and calculating, but
Yeah.
you can understand where he's trying to keep the door closed from letting potentially infected people come onto the train.
Yeah.
Or even something as evil as just like pushing somebody else down so the zombies can go after that person and he can get away.
That one's especially cold-blooded because he straight up sacrifices a dude to save his
Yeah.
own life. Like,
Yeah. And he does it
and he does it in the most despicable manner possible.
he was disgusting.
He's just
And
like, the coast is clear. Go ahead, and then shoves him
shoves him
at
out
the
and pulls away.
zombies. Gives him literally no chance to survive. Like maybe we could both outrun it, and you could at least have a chance of dying on your feet. Running like a real person from zombies. Instead, he just gets shoved.
Yeah, he
Oh,
recognized
brutal.
people as bait and
Yeah,
just
he
had
sure
no
did.
problem with that.
He sure did.
Yeah.
And one thing that really hold on. I think that we need to bring this up really quick. They completely foreshadow how terrible this guy is going to be in the very
definitely.
beginning of the film. When they first get on the train, when they first board, the little girl has to use the bathroom. So she's going from bathroom to bathroom trying to find like an available commode, and a homeless man had gotten on board and was very traumatized by the situation because the outbreak had already happened and just hadn't spread into this area of Seoul. And he's on the floor having his like PTSD traumatic reaction, and that asshole tells the little girl, if you don't study and work hard in school, you'll end up like him. And she turns around and tells him, my mom says that people who say that are bad people. And I was like, all right, that guy's going to be a dick. And he sure as heck was. And one thing that I just could not give him for was like, yeah, okay, I understand you wanting to survive, every man for himself, Darwinism, yada, yada, yada. But when they get to, bless you, when they get to the part where they are making their way through the train and trying to integrate into everybody else who has not been infected, they clearly aren't infected. Clearly. And he still rallies everybody else to be against them.
Yeah. That was where I feel like the film really got me to hate the bystanders. When they all get in and he's like, how do you know they're not infected? And he's just calmly looking at him. You know, and it's like, I have full control over my faculties. Like, we've clearly all seen how fast the virus spreads. Right? If anyone had it, we'd be attacking you right now.
Yeah.
Like there's just that impliedness, and yet they still go along with it, and like, we have to push them out of the train, which was really, I thought, really dumb on their behalf.
It was so stupid. He had full control of his body. He was speaking words, like full on complete declarative sentences. Like, it was, I just didn't
Yeah, and you let the moment drag out, and it's like, what do you?
Yeah.
We're here. Like, you're not gonna push us back out.
And that moment really kind of reminded me, like, I don't know if you guys noticed the similarities to Marcia Gay Harden's performance in The Mist when they were locked in the grocery store and she was working the group up into like this group frenzy.
I actually haven't seen The Mist.
Me neither.
Though I know what it's
like
about.
that mentality where you can just like stir up everybody else and get them into just this frothy frenzy against, you know, everybody else. I always find that so fascinating.
Well, you know, I think most people aren't outspoken. Most people don't want confrontation with strangers. I feel like that in general is something that like people go out of their way to avoid in general. It's just any sort of confrontation with strangers. But there's always that person or several who don't care about that, right? Mm-hmm. And they wield it like a force, I think.
And it's so terrifying, like when you're the person on that opposite side. I felt so bad for the people standing outside of that train to just sit there and just look at all these people just getting into a frenzy, and they were going to watch them die at that door.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, like this is infuriating, but I love the way you guys are working with this character.
Yeah.
Like, you have officially made me hate his guts.
Yeah. Oh my God. I hated him so much.
That's true. He's especially hateable. He's like, just, he's really good in that regard.
Yeah.
Like, everything he does is just, it's always worse than the last thing he did.
Yeah.
He constantly escalates.
I was waiting for him to die and waiting for him to die and waiting for him to die like the whole time.
Yeah, when we saw him in the bathroom with the other guy, I knew he was going to make it to the end. Like, that was the moment where I really knew that, like, oh, he has to be on whatever the last train to Busan is. Yeah. He's gonna be there.
Yeah. Of course he's going to make it to the end because people like that do. Look at our fucking political situation right now, dude. By the way, vote, remove the orange stain from the office, please. But like, people like that rise. It's disgusting.
And you know, here's like, something that kind of surprises me about it, and let me know if you guys disagree, but that, like, I thought he was going to be a human all the way to the end. Were you surprised at all that he became a zombie, that he actually did get bit? Because I kind of saw them having to get rid of him as a person. Like,
No, I wasn't surprised by that because he just sacrificed everybody on the way. Then in the end, he was the only
Yeah,
one.
even then it didn't save him, right? Like,
yeah, karma was just too tight on him.
yeah,
Like
that makes
he
sense,
couldn't have gotten away to the end.
right? It's like, and he gets it pretty hard because he gets a kind of a slow realization, right? He's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to admit that he's infected right
And
away.
even that moment, you know,
You don't
as
feel
much
bad
as I
for him.
hated him. A little bit.
little
Like
bit.
I think just because you see that he's slowly fading away, like he's not going to be a person anymore, and the fact that the memories that come back to him are of his childhood and wanting to see his mother and just like having this, what is it, this like this life flashing before your eyes moment.
But it's all fear for him, right?
It is.
Yeah,
For
it's all
him,
fear.
it's all, I don't want to be alone right now because I'm dying, right? And I'm gonna die alone with nobody I love around me. Like
Selfish
he goes
in the
through
end.
that, which is so nicely contrasted by what happens to the husband. I'm just gonna take us there. That like he has that moment where he realizes he's infected, which, you know, you could say he was kind of dumb in how carelessly he fought the guy, but he has that moment with his daughter that like I teared up. It definitely got me where he like says goodbye to his daughter, and then right, that little girl again
Yeah, she really brought that
Yeah.
performance home.
I can't
tearing
wait
my
to
guts
see
out.
how she evolves as she ages as an actress. Like I am so excited.
Yeah,
She-
you
wow.
hope for great things when you see that young.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But now, just to kind of turn off of that, like, why the dad? He had so many opportunities to just like get rid of the bad guy before he turned into a zombie. Like after he
he
turned
wasn't
into
a fighter
zombie.
though, not really.
I mean, and I'm not saying he really had to fight. Just kind of give the guy a little push.
Yeah, like they're not very strong, so just like beep. Like it really was.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, you mean like during the final train fight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it
he
does.
didn't have
It
to work
drags
up a
out,
story.
I think, a little needlessly. But I think just the idea that they could have played it differently, and he would have still got. He
Like-
needed to go. The movie had established a law of karma in play, and then it gave him really bad karma by associating him with the outbreak. That like he was a fund manager who only cares about money, and because they were irresponsible, they helped cause the zombie apocalypse. So like he had kind of the worst karma on him when he got that bomb dropped on him. So he had to go, but at least he like learned to love his daughter and like give her a fighting chance, and he got to like go out with the memories of her, of like being satisfied knowing that they're safe, kind of a deal.
Yeah. And he became a better person throughout the process, you know, and that just kind of shows that like karma always comes back to you, I think, no matter what, but like you need to be ready for it. But I also think that there's moments where like you can take that into your own hands, you know, like you see the karma coming, and like energy is a thing. It really can be controlled. We're seeing it right now. Look at all this energy around me that's being
Right,
controlled.
right.
You know? So like, I don't know. He could have totally shoved that guy off the platform when he was changing. Like,
Yeah.
Or at least don't cover his mouth with your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least.
He in the end he gets it for stupidity. Right?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. Too dumb.
Yeah. But you know what? At least we got to see that beautiful performance by the daughter.
Yeah, she was great.
Oh, and her scene walking down the tunnel with the pregnant wife, and just, God, like the first time I saw that, I really thought this was going to be another Night of the Living Dead ending. It was like they make it all the way to the end of the movie
Yeah, and they're
just
just
to get
gonna.
killed.
And her performance is really soul shattering. It's like so
Yes.
haunting.
God, I cried so much at the end. Like, so much. That's what I loved about this movie is it was like melodrama and zombies, and I love the little sprinkling of like comedy, like when the guy's phone goes off, you know, and he's like, "What kind of ringtone is that?" And the guy's like, "I can change the ringtone." Like it was I think very well balanced.
This is such a tentpole film when you look at it like that because it's like a tense thriller, so it's high adrenaline. It's melodramatic, so you get that drama, you can get those tears. You know, it's got some comedy, so that you you know, it's got like this whole variety of extreme things that you're gonna feel. It's very much that kind of what the Marvel movies go for. That you know, you don't always hit all of the notes, but this one's doing a really good job at hitting all the different notes because it is very well made, I think. And even though it's got kind of these tropey characters, I feel like the performances really make up for any kind of flatness that the characters might have in the writing. I feel like the actors all really elevate their roles. There's just a lot of like the older guy. I know I kind of dropped out for a minute there when you were talking about the husband, but like he's got so much character in him without having that many lines. Even just like all the moments where he's there, like clearly he knows who his character is and is always reinforcing that. He's kind of machismo, but he is a good guy at heart. Like he's got this whole thing going on. I think this movie hits on a lot of those different levels. What do we think about production value and cinematography? Kind of on that note.
I really liked the scenery that they used for the train stations. There was one scene, I think, where they were first coming into the Daejeon train station, and they have that drone shot just kind of showing the destruction and how things have just turned south so quickly. And one of the things that I love when they do drone shots like that and they implement for the music this really, really loud tuba. And I love how they use that in like multiple movies to just kind of drive home the point that things are pretty much fucked right now. Yeah. Like, and I feel like you can do that in almost any movie. It can be just like, you know, a commercial for AARP, and you just play that loud tuba, and it's just like,
you know, you're gonna see a wreck.
These old people are probably gonna get it soon.
It's true. It's a good musical cue.
Yeah. I thought the trains looked pretty good in general. You get like kind of Snowpiercer vibes. I don't think this had the same cinematographer, but you know, another Korean film on a train.
Not. I mean, obviously, the production design is really different.
Very different.
While we're talking about that, there was a lot of like subtle class warfare in this, and you see that because the breakout starts in like the back end of the train, where typically like that's coach and where cheaper tickets are, and the further you go up front, the better the cars become, and it becomes like business class and first class, and like you see that throughout the film that it like slowly moves forward.
Yeah,
and
we're
then
always
when we get to
working
the end,
to get to the engine.
Yeah, and then we get to the end where the congregation is happening, and they, you know, don't allow the other survivors in. It's completely
that's where we get the real warfare of like who gets to survive when it comes down to it.
Right. And then we have the
who's
real
most
hero,
worthy,
essentially, who is the conductor of the train, the man who drives it, the engineer. And he is virtually untouched. He's doing everything he can.
He makes it for so long. He just comes in contact with the wrong leech.
Yeah. Fuck that guy, dude.
Oh, man. When he took out the conductor, the driver, that was the worst. It was just like, not this dude. He made it the whole movie.
Yeah.
He kept the train going.
Careful about going and getting the other train. Like, he was
we watched him minding his own business. And just the other humans.
Not even minding his own business. He's saving as many people as he can by keeping this train going. Yeah. You know, like Snowpiercer. And they must love trains over there. And
it's more train country than the U.S. is, you know.
Okay.
Trains are a bigger deal. They're just a bigger part of normal life, I think.
Yeah, because their technology is like so far advanced for trains than us.
They focused on
And-
trains.
Okay. Yeah. So to kind of go back to the production of it, like I thought it was really amazing that in both films that you can film so well in such a tight space. Now I don't know what these sets look like, you know. I've never done anything on this level, but that just really got me. And of course, there was nothing special about the set design, but as far as like the shots, I thought they were really beautiful. My favorite one was in the beginning when we were first like kind of introduced to some shit is about to go down, and it's raining ash, and she puts her hand out the window and catches a piece, you know. And I just thought that was beautiful and very poetic. And I'm sure there's a part of me that liked it because I live in a place that does that every year. But yeah,
lately.
I just got it. Yeah, lately anyway. And so I don't know. I just thought that it was something that maybe wasn't necessary, but I'm so glad that they paid attention to these little details like that to make it also very beautiful to watch, because at one end it's kind of ugly to watch because those zombies are terrifying and the way they move is terrifying.
They're cool looking zombies. I have to say,
cool.
these are among my favorite zombies visually. A lot of times they are just like we saw zombies last week with Little Monsters, and the makeup was really good, but it was really over the top. And like the zombies in this movie were all about the movement and like their weird unnatural like body positions and stuff. And to like have them like moving quickly in just like these weird contorted ways. I thought the look of the zombies was really great. It's just kind of something different, like always with the rictus like teeth, like showing as much teeth as possible.
Totally. I really love the characters. Oh, go ahead, Henry.
Oh, no, I was going to say it was really cool that they didn't go with the stereotypical shambling zombie, or, the zombies that have like their arm falling off or like their nose falling off or like they're missing an eye. These were scary in their own way. Just the fact that they were fast zombies.
And they had to rely on their senses more than usual, right?
Yeah.
Like that was something that was a plot point in this film that I don't think I've seen before, that like their eyes were like really bad, but they were very reliant on just like sight and sound, but like they're...
Yeah, like I'm not too sure of any other zombie movies that relies on that for, the zombies to really lean heavily on light to find what they're looking for, or they always go on sound, because if you hear a sound you run towards it. But yeah, this movie, I really love that they played with the fact that if the zombies don't have light to see something moving, then they're safe to move around.
Yeah.
Which, if you're ever in a real zombie apocalypse, probably don't go
count
with
on
that logic. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get, but don't count on that. Yeah. Probably not a safe bet.
Yeah, probably not a safe bet. But I think like the way they portrayed them, and like the situation, I feel like if a real zombie outbreak were to happen, like this is how it could possibly happen. No?
It felt realistic in the speed, because it also was like something that, given mass communication, you could make significant efforts to contain. And we have no reason to think that it's global at this point. It's like, it's just like a Korean plague at this moment. And, down on the edge, we've managed to, build like an inner wall that we can kind of get around this thing.
Yeah, because even in the beginning of the movie, they seem like they quarantined the area pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because what was it? The guy was coming in and he was assuming that it was some kind of...
it was hoof and mouth disease, right?
Hoof and mouth disease, yeah. But yeah, they seem like they got their act together pretty quickly and quarantined off a section of Korea.
I know, right?
Yeah. To kind of go back to the production of it real quick. Okay, wait, real quick, I want to say, didn't this start because they were making a cure for foot and mouth disease and that just kind of went wrong?
I'm not sure. It was something they were quarantining because of recent like animal sickness, but I don't think they give us the full detail.
No.
No,
Okay,
Yeah.
biotech.
to go back to the production of it, like the pacing and such of the film, do you think that's largely why it seemed very real?
What do you mean?
Like the way that they just made it, I guess pacing might not be the right word, but like they just made it so fast. Like all of a sudden it just took over, as opposed to like Night of the Living Dead where it's kind of like a slow progression. Like what do you think would be more realistic if this were to happen? The quick.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think the quick zombies are kind of a catch. They're interesting in that it's going to spread really far, really fast, but it's probably also more containable because you'll know about it right away, right? Whereas something that can spread that like is slowly spreading without us knowing about it is way more dangerous, as with proven by coronavirus.
As we're seeing right now. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because I feel like with the fact that this just came out, I think we're to assume that, this all happens within either like 1 or 2 days. And information really hasn't gotten out to the general public. The zombies really hadn't had rigor mortis set in, so they're still kind of moving pretty loose and fast. So it seems like, yeah, if this were to happen in real life, then it would go pretty quick. I feel like
something about that, the whole movie was kind of bugging me, is like they were on this train ostensibly headed to Busan, a safe city, and it was loaded with zombies. The whole time. Like, I know they wound up switching trains a number of times, but it was like, you guys are carrying literally a freight train of plague straight for the safe zone. Like,
I mean, I think they
I know you want to get out, but
yeah, because I mean, you had the one girl that I still don't understand how she got past the one usher and ran on the train without being noticed.
it was like video games, right? When you're sneaking past guards in video games, it's so easy.
Yeah.
That made me so mad. I was like, he just went like this, and then she went bloop, 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 like onto the
He
train,
was like
all
this,
loud,
did you?
but, like dramatic, and he
was-
did it.
I liked that
So
shot though.
weird.
Just I feel like on a pure kind of like grading shots, it's a fun shot because she goes by so silently,
Yeah.
right? I think it's a fun shot, even though it does kind of break the limits of.
Was it
Credibility.
silent? To me, it seemed like dramatic.
She
and
kind
like,
of like, but there's no like big violin chord or anything. She just kind of slips onto the train. Like if you were munching on your popcorn, you could miss it.
okay.
Like it happens pretty quick, even though it's like she should have come from somewhere that he saw, like from far away, right?
Yeah. 'cause,
Like they're on a
like,
platform. It's not like
upstairs trying to break into the train platform.
yeah, we
but
saw
you
like the
see-
people on their phones, right, who are about to be
Yeah.
zombies.
But yeah, somehow missed this one person running right by him. I'm pretty sure she was breathing hard.
Can we talk
Just-
about how it's weird that the zombies don't apparently need to eat flesh? They just want to bite you enough to infect you, and then
Yeah.
move on.
Why?
True. Yeah, you never see them actually eat anybody. It's always they get bitten and
And then they
come
want to
back
bite, but
Yeah.
they don't want to eat.
Which I don't know. Like,
Well, what do they do? I'm wondering what they're like when there's no people around. They're just like,
Well, we saw.
We're chilling.
They're just like they just kind of mill about.
right?
you
How do
know?
we know that that's like so bad? Like maybe we can cure that.
Well, that's a really good point. Like, I mean, that's what I wish I knew more about
Right?
epidemiology.
Like they're zombies, but they're still people.
Yeah, but like, okay, it's a virus, right? Zombie
Right.
situations are a virus.
Yeah.
So like,
At least in this one.
well, I think in general, no.
Mostly, I would say.
Yeah, I think mostly. So like, God, I wish I knew more about epidemiology. So like, what do they eat? Viruses? Do they eat your cells? Like, do they destroy your?
They
No, they're just
generally
kind of
they have to
attack.
consume something, right? They eat, essentially.
I would assume. So I'm just curious what would cause them to do that because
Yeah.
like either the virus's goal is
I
to
know that. What is it? Viruses exhibit like 7 out of 8 like signs of life, something like that. But I can't remember which is the one that they don't have. I think it's like genuine reproduction, because they just replicate by spreading, right?
Yeah, they replicate their RNA. They don't have DNA. They replicate their RNA.
Yeah, so they don't make new ones. They just replicate themselves.
Yeah.
And occasionally they mutate, though. So
Yeah. Well, that's
so it is. That's why it's like so tricky. It's like, are they alive? Are they?
I'm looking this up because now I have to know.
So, but essentially, yeah. Why do they have the instinct to spread it so quickly? And what does it do to them? Like, we have no idea if they can live with it for a long time, if it will. I mean, it doesn't look pleasant, right? It doesn't look like a terribly pleasant affliction, but we don't really know what it's like, right?
Yeah, because they really don't. They're going off of such limited information because they don't even go into details about what the biotech spill was.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions around this. So, is Busan actually safe? We don't know. There's a sequel.
Well, it seemed pretty damn safe.
Yeah, there's a sequel.
Yes, it's released now, isn't it?
Yeah, Peninsula's out now. It came out a couple weeks ago.
Not here. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like famous already just for being one of the few films at the box office to be making any kind of money at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like the first release in like, almost 6 months worldwide that made any real money. So it made some headlines for that.
And they also have the prequel, I think, is up on Netflix.
Prequel?
The animated one, right?
Yeah, the animated one, Soul Train.
Yeah. No way, that's the name.
It's Soul something. I believe it is. Soul
but
Train,
like
though.
the city.
Soul Station.
That's
Maybe
great.
not Soul Train.
Soul Train.
Hey, it might be.
It could be somebody didn't catch it. What did you find out?
If it's a Korean film, it would make sense that they would name it something like that.
Yeah, right.
And not realize like how
It's
funny
a Soul
that would be
Train.
to an American. Yeah, so like the city, right?
What did you find out?
Rochalle, guys, Soul Station.
I'm still kind of looking, but they don't feed off sugar, which I think is like a big thing that people think that viruses do. They don't actually. They don't even like respond if you were to starve them from glucose. And one thing that this brings up, which I thought was very interesting, is like when we get infected with the virus, we're not hungry. So I found that interesting. So it's like
but yeah, we don't even know if it's increasing appetite though, because it's just not. Like I just want to slobber on somebody.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just kind of reading what a virus does in general.
Yeah.
It just.
Also, we know about the zombie virus that animals are infected, because the first thing we see is an animal. It can any mammal potentially is affected, which is
not something that happens in a lot of zombie movies. It's usually only humans that are affected.
Yeah, we know for a fact animals can get infected. In video games, you always have zombie dogs, though.
Yes.
So
never zombie deer.
So this study was about listeria, and they used mice to do the trials. And whenever they would give a large amount of glucose via a feeding tube or injection to these mice, listeria would be killed. So it seems that their metabolism is more about infecting our cells than it is about like drawing out nutrients.
Interesting.
So maybe that's why they don't.
It just wants to self-replicate. But I feel like viruses must consume different materials in order to, or like choke off different materials, whatever they're infecting, right? They're essentially making it obsolete. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, I guess eat a lot of sugar if you get a virus.
Eat sugar.
According to
it could be a zombie fungus for all we know.
Yeah. This is according to Yale, and let's see.
But that's just one kind of virus, so.
Yeah, but I mean, theoretically they would.
Gotcha.
Would all be, yeah, this is listeria specifically, like I said, but very, very interesting.
Should we do final thoughts?
Yes, final thoughts. Henry, take it away. What did you? who do you think this movie is for? We usually do that up top. And let's see.
Yeah, we kind of got right into it though. Yeah, who do you think it's for? Anything that we didn't bring up that you wanted to bring up?
So I really think anybody that enjoys horror movies but is not really big into like the blood and the guts, and dismembering body parts and all that stuff. This
It's not
was
high gore, right?
it wasn't. I think this is good for anybody that wants a little bit of adrenaline going, but doesn't want to be grossed out too much.
Yeah, it's
'cause the worst
like
thing-
more an action movie with melodrama than it is.
Yeah. Like there were some exciting moments and there were definitely some tear-jerking moments, which you never really expect out of a zombie movie. So yeah, if anybody is really big on, I guess this would be more like suspense action.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be a good, sit down, turn the lights off, and get a bowl of popcorn type
Yeah,
movie.
I think this is a good theater kind of film, even though we don't have that going right now. I agree. I think this is a film that has a broad reach and is anyone who kind of like action or suspense or thriller. And I agree with what you said about you don't really expect to find like good drama in zombie movies, despite the fact that a lot of them have good drama. I think because we kind of expect them to be silly on some level. But it's such a good concept for drama that like filmmakers have a really, easy time coming up with situations that are just like, oh, that's awful. Yes. Fighting my loved ones to death.
But I think where this one stands out is it felt very real. Where all the other zombie movies I've seen, I'm watching and enjoying because I just know how unrealistic it seems. Where this one, I was like, this could happen tomorrow. So, that's where I think the standout was for me.
Yeah, on that level, it's kind of similar to something like 28 Days Later, that's going for that more realistic. How would any of us survive, really? Sorry. Did you have more? Did you want to add final thought, Rochelle? Sorry if I.
I mean, I love the movie clearly, like I said, and I definitely think that this is kind of a movie for anyone who can watch a horror movie, I think. And even if you can't, like if you can watch other scary thrillers and like not be affected by a little blood, I think that you will really much enjoy this. It's not very gory. One thing that I really loved about this movie was the theme. I really like how it examined selflessness and selfishness. I always have a hard time saying those together. And then like the individualist culture versus like the collective culture. And I just thought it was really interesting that they had this like one individualistic character in a part of the world that is very much a collective culture. Yeah. And then they juxtaposed it against the typical collective culture that you see there. So yeah, something to think about while you're watching it.
Yeah. It was really, some really interesting stuff and just different on kind of just like that everyday cultural level where things are just a little bit different than you might be used to, which is always fun.
It was definitely refreshing take.
Cool. So don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and follow us on Spotify so you can listen wherever at your leisure, wherever you want to. Also, thank you to anyone watching on YouTube. If you are there, give us a like and a subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Views and Paradox, where we give out posters of the next week's films and do a little bit of just a little bit of reminding, but we try not to be too intrusive. And next week's film is going to be Get Out with guest Randall Dutton. So that should be a fun one. It'll actually be,
especially because you've never.
Yeah, it'll be my first time seeing it.
Henry, can you believe that? He's never seen Get Out.
You know, just be careful. Somebody gets killed in the movie.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
Yeah, don't spoil it for me. It's been this long. No, I'm really looking forward to it. I wanted to see it, and I just never got around to it. So it should be fun. Anything I forgot there?
No.
All right. Well, with that then, until next time, watch more movies.
Happy viewing, guys. Thanks.